The basis for the research being conducted at this lab on the University of Oklahoma campus is that 60% of the United States energy is lost in the form of wasted heat. The co-founder of Phononic Devices says high-efficiency thermoelectrics holds great promise to tap into this hidden energy source while reducing greenhouse gas emissions.
I think we're now recognizing the cost of either climate change, emissions, or energy efficiency. It's no longer acceptable that 60% of all the energy released upon combustion is wasted into the atmosphere and goes unused. There's a penalty associated with that I think people are now finally recognizing.
The U.S. Department of Energy announced it will help fund the research Phononic Devices is conducting with a $3 million grant. The award is part of $151 million in stimulus money the DOE is using to fund projects that will transform the nation's energy landscape.
It's relatively new, just the whole concept that you can convert heat to electricity. This is somewhat new concept, even though it's an old idea, it's been around a long time. But the fact that you can make it better and you can make it cheaper and make it more efficient, which is our approach, that's intriguing to a lot of people.
The company's research is based on the principles of thermoelectrics. That's the process in which a temperature difference creates an electric potential. The semiconductor material being grown in this lab has the potential to take the waste heat from thermal sources, such as power plants or automobiles, and convert it to electricity. That has the potential to improve the overall efficiency of the operating system.
The typical working medium that you use is either a compressed liquid or a compressed gas. In the state of a thermoelectric device, your working medium is electronic. It's quiet, there are no moving parts, it's clean, and as long as it's in the presence of some kind of a thermal driver, you move that electronic current without any kind of emissions being produced.
Thermoelectrics can also be used in cooling systems. The challenge Phononics Devices is facing is to make the systems cheaper and more efficient than existing systems.
Most of the refrigeration, either HVAC or in your home, in this country is done with technology that's roughly 40 or 50 years old. We're still using compressors, we're still using some kind of coolant that needs to be manipulated to provide cooling. So you have the opportunity there to really displace a fundamentally established technology with something completely green and clean and renewable.
The company's founders say the technology being developed here also has the potential to be relatively inexpensive because it piggybacks onto existing semiconductor industry infrastructure, such as the use of silicon as a base material. While research into these thermoelectric materials is still underway, the company is already seeing a jump in interest in possible applications for the final product. Company co-founder Anthony Addy says that's because the market is ready for green technology.
In terms of cooling, if you were to use a thermoelectric device for cooling and refrigeration and translate the energy savings into how much coal would not be burned or how much natural gas would not be burned, you're talking about the savings of several hundred thousands of tons of CO2 emissions that are not produced.
Phononics Devices was one of about 3,600 applicants for the Department of Energy's grant funds. Only about 1% of those projects were selected. Company co-founder and lead researcher Patrick McCann says the grant will speed up the company's timeline for getting a final product to market.
We're looking at 2 years to bring out a prototype product and find an early adopter and get success in that area. And then once that's happened, things can go very, very fast.
The company's founders say because of the lack of moving parts, thermoelectric systems are also extremely reliable. They believe the approach they are using could make possible a market opportunity of more than $125 billion in waste heat recovery. In Norman, Lori Rasmussen, the Oklahoma News Report.